So, welcome to the show today. We have a special guest, a very special guest, going back way back in the history of even me as a marketer, and the beginning by the customer factory and all that stuff. But also just someone I've come to know and admire over the years. Someone who's not just was a great practitioner, but also I think is going to be a very good teacher to the industry. Someone that has a lot, I think, to learn. I'm going to let her tell her own story and introduce herself, but this is not just some vendor consultant coming on to pitch you or something. This is a cool story and this is a cool outcome, and I think there's an opportunity for the right. There's somebody who's watching this video right now, but this is the exact video they need to see. This will solve the exact problem. This is the exact connection they need to have right here. And anyway, so let me introduce everybody, Dr. Heather Lambert from South Carolina. And she was a customer factory client for a while, but she actually, despite that fact, or with that fact, built a marvelous business. I'll let you kind of tell me what, kind of introduce yourself a little bit and tell us what your journey has been like to get here.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, first off, hello. My name is Dr. Heather Lambert. I am a chiropractor. I graduated Palmer in 2004, started off my private practice in 2005, and just recently concluded private practice actually the spring of this year. So I had been in practice for 17 years. You name it, I've seen it. During my first, I would say, 8 to 10 years of practice, I actually personally coached with 3 different organizations. I had even done Tony Robbins' big business mastery program. I've had a great number of mentors throughout things. And the amount of knowledge that I've picked up from so many different diverse backgrounds, and it hasn't just been in business specifically for chiropractic only. It's been in medical based, it's been in just general business in general, has been a huge benefit for me in the business realm of things, because I've kind of found my niche on how to bring my purpose, my passion, my desire to help others and elevate others to a whole nother level in that. So throughout the course of the 17 years that I had a private practice, I have taught, probably somewhere between 10 to 12 associates. And I have done preceptorships from both Life University as well as Palmer University for students. And have been a guest speaker and teacher at Palmer, where they flew me back, and I did special events and special lectures for their upcoming graduation classes, and have done a ton of lectures around the community about education and just being involved. But one of the biggest things that I have kind of transitioned over to at this point is actually helping others be able to reach their level of professional goals in their practice by teaching them some very key and critical things in regards to running a business, not necessarily just the education specifically of chiropractic and how to communicate with patients, but more of the ins and outs of running the actual business itself so that you do not have the business running you. Because one of the things that I found a lot of freedom with is that I did not have to worry about whether or not I could take vacation for a week and come back and not have a week of production. So I still had to pay staff while I was gone and not have any income coming in. That's your business running you. That's not you running your business. So
I think one thing that you haven't mentioned yet, because you're being modest, take me how big your practices were. Where do you achieve? Like you weren't just running some small little place behind on a strip mall somewhere behind the post office. It was
correct.
You had a little miniature empire going on there.
Correct, I did. So in my first 2 years of practice, I had got up to seeing 350 people a week. It was me and 2 staff members. I brought on another associate at that point. We continued to grow. In 2013, I actually expanded into a 3,000 square foot space and then decided to expand it into a medically integrated practice. So at one point in time, at the height of it, kind of everything, I had 48 employees, 2 different locations, saw 180 visits a week in one location and saw 130 visits a week in the other, in a medically integrated practice, which is very different than just chiropractic. So I've kind of seen the realm of working with medical doctors, with nurse practitioners, selling care plans that were, you know, five, six, seven, $8,000, selling care plans that were $2,500 for chiropractic only. Being able to just know how to close people, knowing how to have the conversations and do the education side of things. I can personally tell you that when I first got started in practice, one of my biggest obstacles was asking patients for money. And part of the reason why I had a coach was because I had personal things in my mind that was inhibiting me from being able to not only serve my community the way that I needed to, but I couldn't make money. And if you don't make money, you can't be in practice. So I literally sat with a coach one weekend, 2 days. We did not come out of a coaching room except to eat, use the restroom, and sleep. And we pounded care plans and how it was to have the communication with people about being able to get them to start care and pay you for care, not you discounting and giving everything away. In that very first week that I came back, I made 16,000 in the first week. So it was worth every last ounce of putting that time in and training the way that I did. And that extensive knowledge from I had over the course of time, I've probably had nothing less than 10 or 12 different coaches. So I've had lots of different backgrounds on different approaches. One person taught things a certain way, another person had a different perspective and taught a certain way, another person taught a different way. And honestly, I enjoyed that because that gave me lots of knowledge, lots of different ways of looking at things that really evolved me into being able to see perspective from a lot of different areas.
Wow, that's cool. Okay, so I can't help but ask this question. So, what are the biggest things you learned? I mean, you've been to the top of the mountain. Most practitioners would love to have, a couple locations and doing some. You did some very impressive revenue numbers. One other thing, by the way, I've always admired about you is you did a lot of medical integration yourself, if I recall. Like you went through that process, not an easy process, not like especially I think even in your state is a little more challenging than most states. I think if I'm familiar with that somewhat.
Yeah.
So you did that, but what are the key things you learned? Like what, like as a business owner, as a practitioner, what would
Here's
you
what
tell
I
someone?
learned. So here's some of the biggest things that I have learned. Not always are you going to get it right. You're going to fail at some things, and it's just a reality of things. And failure is not necessarily a bad thing. Failure sometimes will propel you into a whole nother realm of things that will escalate you higher than what you could have ever imagined yourself to go. Um, don't reinvent the wheel. I should have asked for a lot more help when I did through that because I spent so much more time and so much more resources than what I could have or should have had I had the right influence and the right coaching, if you will. Um,
Yeah, that's you're hitting exactly on the reason I actually wanted to have you on the show today because as we were talking before we hit record, I was mentioning there's a lot of folks who pretend to know what to do or teach courses or teach trainings or whatever who've never really done it, right? And there's such a difference in authenticness when someone's actually done the job, done it. And then what's great is then it's a rare thing that a person can actually communicate that effectively. Like you not only are you successful, but you actually know what you did that made you successful. And then you can communicate that to somebody else. And as long as they're willing to learn without ego or whatever, then they can duplicate those results.
absolutely.
I've been around long enough to know that's rare. That is a rare thing. And
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to have you on the show because you've done it. You grew it from small to big to very, very big,
Mhm.
successfully. Every aspect of it. You didn't outsource it to somebody else. You didn't have somebody else standing in front of you doing it for you. You did all this stuff and you never really made it work. And you're a great communicator. You can communicate to people. You taught so many other associates of stuff not along the way, and now someone else could just duplicate that. You can save so much time. I know myself, even in our business, I find someone who knows what they're doing, and I just sort of like just inhale all the information they have and try to learn it without ego is what I call it. Like learn it without knowing better. Okay, I'm assuming they know better than me. I'm going to listen carefully, look it down, do it without assuming I know best until I duplicate their result, and only then can I change it. Right. So
Absolutely.
That's that's what I hear you saying there is like get a good mentor, get a good coach, and then shut up and listen. You know?
Well, and one of the things that I feel is extremely important for people to understand is that one person is not going to be your do all end all. Like like Michael, I currently am working with a couple different docs. I'm only taking on a total of between 5 and 6 clients. I want it to be very small where I make sure that they are wildly successful. They're getting everything out of practice that it is that they want. Um, but to know that there are areas that I am not perfect in, and you as a practitioner may very well, like personal injury. I never really did personal injury in my own practice. So for me to give you insight or good forthcoming information specific to PI, I'm very limited. I mean, I've learned a lot from other practitioners and other colleagues of mine, but for me to give you my personal experience on that, it's probably not that high. Now, can I convert a personal injury patient into a lifetime wellness patient? Absolutely, I can. It's not, I mean, so the education point of things and being able to get people to understand the importance behind taking that step and taking initiative in healthcare, absolutely I can. Um, after a little bit about me and why I chose to get out of practice. My family is having a pretty large health tragedy right now. My husband is going to be getting a new heart, God willing, here very soon. So I've taken some time off to be with my family and take care of my 2 children, and coach, because I can coach patients or coach colleagues from a hospital room just as easy as I can from an office. And so my gears and my focuses have kind of shifted and changed just a little bit. But one of the big things that I have found with that is that I'm pulling up resources that I have had stacked away that I have not really thought about in a long time. Where I've got um, one of the colleagues that I am training, she's primarily in a PI practice. She really wants to do family wellness. She really wants to do care plans. She's never had any experience in that before. Um, I went into her office. We looked at the layout. We looked at the communication style. We looked at her schedule. And I'm 4 weeks into this. Everything has been shifted and changed. She's got an internal marketing thing that's happening now. She's communicating with all of her PI patients just as well as all of her community. And she's starting to see that momentum and that growth starting to come in. And it was just things that hadn't necessarily thought of. She had all the tools and resources there. She has the heart to serve. She didn't know how to communicate that with people. She didn't know how to do care plans. She wasn't sure about asking people for money because in a primarily PI practice, you don't have to have that money conversation. So it's been a lot of fun for me to work with her and watch her grow and watch her business kind of expand and see where she can be in the next 6 months. Like I do a lot of dreamscaping. So like, where do you want to be in a month? Where do you want to be in 3 months? How about 6 months? Like show me where it is that you want to be. And then let's start working backwards and let's show you the 5 steps that we need to do here in the next 4 weeks to get you there. So I'm actually having a great time with working with people because I get to see them succeed. And what's better than seeing other colleagues succeed? It's a ton of fun.
Yeah, yeah, and as I said earlier, you kind of won the game that most people consider what you could achieve would be like that's the lifetime success. You did major practice all, and now you're kind of above the game a little bit, helping others. That's so cool.
Yeah.
That is how we make a winning profession in the winning industry. I mean, just let teaching it to others. Let this person. She's like, okay, she had no idea what she didn't know, but
Right.
the resources are there, the material is there, and all you have to do is kind of guide it. I think this, like I said, whenever I have something like this, I go, there's going to be somebody who's going to be watching this video. I'm that material. I can do this. I just need guiding and shaping. Tell me what to do, and I'll do this. And if they
Right.
don't without any level, will actually do it and pay attention, I think that this is the opportunity for them. Yeah, I know you're not looking for like a whole bunch of people, but I'm afraid there's a whole bunch of people who need you. You know that, right?
Yeah, there probably are. Yeah. And I'm excited to help as many as I can, but I'm going to kind of focus in on my top 5, 6 people and really get them running in practice. And in the next 4 or 5 months, maybe I'll open it up to a few more. So,
Okay, good. So how about this? How could someone contact you if they do want to say, maybe see if this is a good fit, if you might, because you got like 2 or 3 people, 2 or 3 slots you're looking for maybe that you take on before you get overwhelmed. So
yeah.
how should they contact you?
So you can send me an email. My email address is drhlambert, LAMBERT .sc@gmail.com. Dr. Lambert or drhlambert.sc@gmail.com. If you shoot me an email, I've got a new client questionnaire that I send out to anyone who is looking at coaching. I have you fill all of that out, then I can get a real clear understanding as far as like where your practice currently is, what things you've got implemented, and how it is that I would best be able to escalate you based off of your goals. I think one of the biggest things that I learned as I started to really grow in the number of employees and in the locations and all of that stuff is that I running a single or 2 doctor practice with 2 or 3 employees, I did not have policies and procedures in place. I did not have an employee policy manual in place. I did not have a staff hiring, firing, paperwork, paper trail, knowing how to get the right person for the right position, because there's a lot of great people out there, but if they don't have the skill set or the ability to do the job that I need them to do, I found that to be very challenging. I have mastered group interviews, which are pretty fabulous because you can pick out your winners like immediately, save yourself a ton of time. Making sure that your business is set up in the right organization style to get the best tax breaks. Making sure that you've got your workers' comp set up correctly or your payroll set up correctly, or all of the things that are kind of behind that envelope of running a business that you really aren't taught in school. I fumbled a lot when I first got started, and I don't want anybody to fumble, because fumbling means that you're losing months and you're losing lots of money and you're just not where you need to be. And so my goal is to get people hitting the ground running, accelerate to the next level as fast as they possibly can, and be able to execute the type of business where they don't have to be in it all the time, but they can have it run without them. And in order to do that, I think one of the biggest key missing pieces is to having the right protocols and procedures set up where you can walk away for a week or 2, go enjoy a vacation with your family or your loved ones, walk back in like a step has not been missed at all, versus walking into pure chaos and upset patients and no income for 2 weeks. And like, nobody wants to deal with that. Nobody wants to contend with that.
You're almost talking about a magic trick, that some of people think isn't even possible. Like, no, 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 I could never be gone and not have my phone explode while I'm on the beach with all the problems. So I might as well just be closed. That way I can at least enjoy my vacation, right? No, I know what you're talking about. I knew you had an extensive policy manual.
Yeah.
You had a bunch of procedures everywhere, procedure for everything, a procedure for creating procedures, I bet, right?
Yeah.
It's funny, I've actually found a similar thing in my own business, but yes. So having those things and having those as a template is such a time saver, because creating that stuff from scratch is a stone cold problem. That is hard to do.
Yeah.
But if you got, so the templates alone are probably worth quite a something. Oh, yeah, just give me a
Yeah.
photocopy of your employee manual. Would probably save someone from getting sued. So
Yeah. Well, it's funny because about in 2019, actually right before the big pandemic, my husband and myself and 2 of our close friends decided to open up a business completely outside of what chiropractic is. We opened an indoor kids play center. So you want to talk about not knowing that type of business and all the different ins and outs associated with that. But what I can tell you is that after practicing for so many years and having set policies, procedures, manuals, things like that in place, when I went to completely shift gears in a completely different direction on a business concept, we were able to come up with concept, execute, and deliver that plan in less than 6 months and have a 12,000 square foot indoor kids play place running. So when you learn the right tools on how to run a business, the sky is the limit, because you can implement the exact same things that you're learning to run your small practice into running a very large business. And so the tools and the things that you have an opportunity to learn in your small practice could literally take you in levels you had no idea, if you let it and if you're open to learning.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta really learn. Yeah, that's actually that's the difference between like the reality that you have. Like it's just reality. Like if you're grounded in such reality, because it's not, oh, I have this one whiz bang trick, this one treatment that if you then you can charge five, like some I hate that stuff, right? This is like you build the foundation of a rock solid business. So no matter what you're doing, no matter how the marketplace changes, no matter what the economy does, your foundations are strong and you can just take whatever comes and profit from it and do well and prosper. That's gold. That's
Yeah,
gold right there. So
yeah, yeah.
okay, great. Well, I could probably go on a lot longer, ask you questions and stuff and learn stuff, but this, I don't want to take all your time. But thank you so much for being with us today and sharing what you know. And I know I'm telling you, I just feel out there. This is connecting with somebody who needs you. Someone's like, this is my opportunity. Because there's not a lot. I mean, this is not some fake thing like, oh, she's only taking a few clients. No, she literally, she's got other things to deal with in life. She's literally taken a few people on. She was agreed to help a few folks almost altruistically. I mean, you're just like, oh, okay, I'll help a few other people build a gazillion-dollar practice. Why not? Why not? It's such a giving thing. So anyway, I really appreciate what you do and what you're starting into. I think it's going to be, we have a lot of success stories years from now about this, I'm sure.
Yes,
So
that's what we're hoping for. We want lots of successful docs, lots of happy practitioners, lots of healthy patients.